Warning, warning, warning. This is your only warning. This is going to be a very uncomfortable episode in some aspects because it seems to be that 90% of the scientific research done for the bonobo is sexual. I don't understand why, but that's just the way these animals roll. I can't even blame the scientists because this just seems to be their natural state. That being said, welcome to episode 29, although it probably should be 69, of the Planet Zoo experience. Today we're speaking about the lesser-known cousin of the chimpanzee, the bonobo. Like I said in the intro, it's going to be weird, but before that, let's get into the exhibit we're making. So we're going to be making a crescent-shaped exhibit in an attempt to have a two-story observation area. The first is going to be right up front, the second is going to be right along the side there. And hopefully we'll be able to make a decent exhibit that has a nice visual cue to it. Now, while I start adding the stone all around the side of the exhibit, let's discuss something a little bit tasteful before we get into the horribleness that is the bonobo. First off, we're going to actually start with their conservation status and pretty much the more tasteful parts of their information I could find. First and foremost, they're an endangered species. Not to be surprising, 90% of great apes other than humans are endangered to some degree. The estimates are that there's about 29.5 to 50,000 in the wild, and usually they consist of troops of roughly 100 during a sleeping schedule, but when they go to hunt and forage, they will break off into smaller groups. Now, the bonobo split from humanity roughly 8 million years ago, and from chimps only about 2 million years ago. So, if you have an idea of where scientific species tend to break off from, you'd realize that, yeah, they're very, very closely related to chimps, and that should be obvious based on the fact that they look just like them. And that's pretty blatant when it comes to some of the old names that they had, including, but not limited to, the pygmy chimpanzee, the dwarf chimpanzee, or the gracile chimp. Now, the term we know as bonobo actually comes from two different scientists. One is the Austrian zoologist of Edward Paul Trotz, and the German biologist of Heinz Heck in 1954. The idea of where the name actually comes from is thought to be a misspelling of the Congolese town of Bonobo, which is where some of the cargo containers for the expedition ended up coming from. Now, their scientific name is paniscus. Now, I couldn't figure out what pan means. However, I do know that the Greek term for pan means all, but I don't know how that actually fits. However, it could absolutely be their sexuality, because, my God, I'm coming close to it, and I don't want to deal with it. Oh well, this is the animal that's in question. We're going to be as scientific as possible and do our best to not be absolute freaks about this. However, paniscus actually means small chimp, which should be obvious when it comes to the other names that they're given. You know, dwarf, pygmy, sounds about right. Now, in an attempt to continue to sort of stave off the situation at hand that I find myself in, let's talk about why they're endangered. And there's actually a few reasons. One of the main reasons is for some of the obvious reasons that you might be aware of. Deforestation, the increasing of human encroachment throughout the Congolese basin. One of the other issues that they have is they are known to be hunted for bushmeat. Now, I personally feel that there's a bit of an ethical conundrum when it comes to eating a great ape, something so very closely related to us. But, you know, times are tough, and boy were they tough during the two Congolese wars, where a dramatic spike in bonobo killing ended up coming about so that they could, you know, the armies and militias could feed themselves out in the wilds without worrying about, you know, starving to death or being caught by the enemy. Now, Obviously, those aren't the only two wars, because if you know anything, and I do mean anything about the Congo, is that it is an ungodly, horrible place, politically speaking. It has been in a state of turmoil for, honestly, ever since the Belgians left, and it wasn't great while they were there either. If you know, you know. You have to talk about unsettling things. I don't think the crimes of Leopold I need to be a part of that. Now, I had also brought up in the Black Rhinoceros episode, and that is war. Whenever there's a war, there's munitions left over, whether it be something like artillery and bombs that had not gone detonated, or landmines left in the wild. That is something that pretty much all the wildlife in, well, any war-torn nation, and especially the Congo, have to deal with. Now, the bonobo is seen as being much more peaceful than the chimpanzee, and there's a bit of criticism when it comes to that assessment. One of the big reasons is it is solely from the viewpoint of captive bonobos compared to captive chimpanzees. However, it has been stated that they are somewhat less violent in the wild. They may be just as aggressive, but not as violent. And for those of you who don't know the difference, to be aggressive is to be loud, mean, you know, the less actionable issues. And violence is when you actually start attempting to harm someone physically. So, while they might be loud and territorial like a chimpanzee, it is less likely to actually lead to someone dying. Especially if it's another bonobo, because it has been seen that they pretty much don't kill other bonobos. And, well, I've run out of ways to pretty much keep this at bay, so I believe it is time to discuss their societal structure. So, to get into the monkey fucking, because that's the only way that I'm going to be able to go through this, is to be allowed to speak the way I need to speak and be a little less professional. In the memoirs of scientists, their ranking structure is commonly thought of as a gynecocracy, essentially meaning it is female-dominated, which not only is it female-dominated, it's the most prevalent mother of the group, let's say that much. Now, bonobos are very strange when it comes to great apes. They not only are a matriarchal society, they also seem to have most of the roles reversed. Females are much more outspoken. They tend to leave the group when it gets too large, create a new troop. So a lot of it is different, and that's not, and that seems to be solely socially speaking, because just like chimpanzees, the males are a bit more aggressive, more direct with their actions. However, in bonobo society, it is very important, just like in human society, to be respectful and to be more relaxed. Because those are the traits that female bonobos look for in a mate. Unlike with chimpanzees that may take a partner, bonobos don't do that. And they will be stopped if they were to attempt such. So, that's probably the best part of this entire section of the video. That they are a strangely sexually respectful group. Now let's talk about how they're absolute degenerates. Okay, so bonobos will fuck for any goddamn reason. So let me give you the list of reasons they may have sex. And believe it or not, for those of you who do not believe homosexuality exists in nature, bonobos will use sex as a greeting, a form of social bonding, conflict resolution, and post-conflict reconciliation. Essentially, they have make-up sex, break-up sex. They have sex for any reason that they so damn well desire. Whether it to pretty much become in another's graces, to say hello, to just make sure that, hey, we are good friends. So if you think it's gay to kiss your homies goodnight, you're not a bonobo, you know? At least you're not doing that. Come on. Give the boy some love. Speaking of kissing, they're also the only non-human ape to be known to tongue kiss. I don't understand. But it doesn't just end there. No. They are the only non-human ape species known to have face-to-face sex. They be doing missionary. Why? I hate this. I hate all of this. Now, you may be thinking, all right, that's a lot of sexual intercourse. When it comes to an ape, probably more than I cared to know. And I feel the same way. I didn't want to know either. However, it is also important to note that it seems to be just the way they handle overexcitement to try to keep everyone in line. For instance, if it's not just for negative reasons that they may decide to have more sex. One of the reasons that has been noted is when coming across a new a new source of food, the group will. You know what? I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. They're having orgies. They have an orgy. They just start fucking. Why? Why is it all fucking? For those of you who don't know, I'm not a very sexual person. So this would have been uncomfortable when I was talking about people, right? It's even worse that these are apes. There has been, if you weren't wondering, I'll answer a question you probably may or may not have had. Bonobos and East African chimpanzees have been known to attempt in interbreeding. However, it doesn't seem to be happening any time in the modern era for the sole fact that pretty much due to the separation of populations, they can't. They just aren't in the same area anymore. They don't share enough space to actually participate in interbreeding. However, it is important to note that it only seems to be the eastern chimpanzee that has the genetic makeup capable of having viable young with the bonobo. So the western chimpanzee, like we have in game, would not be compatible with bonobo genetics. Now, in an attempt to just ease my mind with the previous topic, let's talk about what we're doing with the exhibit, yeah? So as you can see, I put plenty of stone, plenty of foliage. Now we're making some climbing areas, and now I'm actually, somewhat comfortable with making them, thanks to these episodes. Some of the things I've got here are a couple walkways from the center stone, and obviously I like to make it look natural if I can, so I did put some right on the log leading up to the side. In combination with that and the bridge I'm currently making, in that center area, I'm actually going to make a platform within the sausage tree. That's what that's called, a sausage tree. And on top of that, we're also going to add a second platform that will be visible for the people on the second story. So once we finish that, and putting it right where people would be able to see it, and we're going to do a little bit of scenery creation. So I wanted to do more than just a basic pole. So I decided that I was going to turn these two poles into a ladder. Now, it may be a bit too large for any sort of reasonable ladder, but seeing how it is an ape, it does have the ability to sort of reach further than us, and let's be real, they're probably just going to climb up the side, so it's more of just an aesthetic attempt, and I do believe it fits really well. I eventually do get it to work. As you can see, the Kopach tree is fighting me. But I got the rungs started and eventually started to make my way up. And made a nice little viewing platform for everyone that might be, you know, trying to get a better view. Hopefully our deviants don't just start banging on the side of the tree and, you know, scar some children, which they've been known to do in the zoos that they are actually a part of. So anyway, here's our exhibit. Pretty much I've decided that that's the end of that. Not only that is the end of the exhibit, but I'm just about done with the actual episode, because it was one thing to research it. It was so much worse to record the audio for this, because I had to say it out loud, and it was just not fun. So let's make sure everything looks good. Plenty of coverage. Too much short grass. Put some more long grass, some more soil, and some stone to just clean this thing out. And yeah, so that was the Bonobo. Please subscribe, so that I feel like that this was worth doing, because I hate everything about this. Again, thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. If there's anything in particular you want to see in one of the upcoming videos, if you comment soon enough, I might incorporate it into the next exhibit. If not, the exhibit after that. Or if you want me to leave some notes within, you know, some of the other animals, if you have a favorite that you want to share a little bit of information about in the comments here before I end up actually making it, feel free. With that being said, thank you for watching. You know, I did all the like and share and all that stuff. Fuck it. And all that fun, happy horse shit. So, yeah. Go outside, touch grass, have a nice day, hug your loved ones, drink water. Bye, I need a drink.